You've probably seen it yourself. You're browsing Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or your social media of choice, and you see another local musician has posted some things they've been working on. There's one problem though. It's AI generated. Immediately, you write off whatever they're doing and move on to your next dopamine hit, forever condemning them to the algorithmic void. Be it the art or the music, if you detect even a hint of AI content, you immediately cast it aside. And in my opinion, for good reason. But let's talk about that. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is... And I've played the local musician game for quite a while now. I've done big projects, such as Shadow of the Talisman's debut album, As Above, So Below. I've subbed on tour with a band through the Midwest. And yes, I've released a mediocre solo album, which you can check out at the links below, by the way, wink wink. I've done it all, I've seen it all, I've lived it all. Based off the title of the video, you could probably guess that, yeah, AI content has kind of pissed me off to no end. And I'll be the first to admit that I am an AI denier, plain and simple. Will it rise up eventually and kill humanity? Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we've all seen the Terminator movies. But does it make good art? No. So enough rambling. Here's the thesis statement, plain and simple. Local musicians, stop using AI content. Well, fellow Americans, let me be clear. You are killing your career. You are short-selling yourself, and you are not gaining anything by releasing AI content. Not only that, you are hurting the environment, you are feeding into an unregulated mass slop machine, and you are hurting the music industry as a whole. And here's why. I hate to say this, but if you're using AI as your primary source of content, you are lazy. We are all artists here. Or at least we're calling ourselves that, let's be honest. So do what artists do, and create what you are envisioning with your own hands. What makes art great is the struggle with the medium, the struggle with yourself, the struggle with the world, any kind of struggle. It gives art that life that we all crave. So why take away that aspect? Why remove what makes art so great? Think about it this way. Let's say you have a 6-year-old kid, and as every 6-year-old does, they come up to you and they say, "Daddy, Mommy, look what I made!" And it's like some crayon drawing of a dinosaur or unicorns doing God knows what. It's hard to interpret, but they created it with their own hands. They poured their soul into it. They took what they were envisioning in their head, the emotions that they were feeling, and they put it out on paper. You're proud of that, right? Because your kid did something, they created something with their own hands, and you're proud of that. So you take it, you slap it on the fridge for everybody to see, and you say, "Great job, sport/sportette. You did it." Now imagine if that same 6-year-old handed you an AI-generated picture of a dinosaur eating a dude, right? It probably looks better. Like, it's more cohesive, you can at least understand what's going on. But it lacks that soul. And I don't know about you guys, if my kid did that to me, I would punch him. I would absolutely deck him. Just outright, sorry. And that picture's going in the fireplace too. It's not going on the fridge. Sorry, kid. Get a job. In essence, there isn't any essence in AI-generated content. And to me personally, that makes it some of the most egregious slop possible. Let's talk about another aspect of this laziness argument. Every single art piece, project, album, whatever that you do is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to further yourself as a musician or as an artist. I can attest to that myself. As a local musician who has, quote, seen it all, everything that I've done, albums, EPs, artwork, videos, all of that stuff has always come with opportunities to improve, to grow, and to learn. For example, my solo album that I just put out, Diode. I went into that knowing next to nothing about mixing, about mastering, about album artwork, about marketing, pretty much the whole 9 yards, pretty much everything that comes with making an album. You know, my expertise is primarily just in writing bass parts and doing some composition work for songs in bands, you know, not making an entire album on your own. However, I used it as an opportunity to learn many things about my craft. I learned basic mixing skills. I learned basic artwork skills. I learned basic marketing skills to, market a mediocre album. Spoiler alert, make a good album first, because I didn't do that. I'm better off as an artist for having done that, for having learned those things. I'm more experienced, I'm more knowledgeable, and I'm in a much better position moving forward to make better things. Using AI removes those opportunities completely, as of right now, because let's be honest here, this video is going to be outdated in about a year or so, the way tech is progressing. But as of right now, if you use AI to completely make the song, to completely write a part, to completely create the album artwork, or what have you, you are robbing yourself of those opportunities. You are stunting your growth as an artist. So for instance, let's say you're stuck on album artwork, right? For a project that you're doing, and you can't afford to pay a good artist. Instead of, taking the time to watch free YouTube tutorials, to read blogs about it, to gain some experience, instead of, using good old trial and error to maybe see if you could make something that's sufficeable. Instead, you skipped that process entirely. You, within seconds, used just a prompt or two to completely rob yourself of learning anything. You have just robbed yourself blind. And I mean that with my whole heart. In the pursuit of speed, efficiency, and cost effectiveness, because it's pretty cheap to do that kind of stuff, you have just sold yourself short. And you are worse off for that. Now, there is a counter argument that I have to address, and that is that AI can be a very useful tool for helping you create what you are envisioning. And yes, I will 100% agree with that. I don't think you're wrong, but I want you to focus on one word in that statement, and that is the word tool. You use tools to create the final masterpiece that you are envisioning. The tools themselves are not the final product. So let's say, for instance, you use AI art as a reference point, right? You needed help figuring out some posing, or you just needed a good reference point for like a piece you were envisioning in your head. So you trace over it, or you modify it in Photoshop, or, what have you, right? Congratulations. You have successfully used the tool of AI generation. The same goes for songs. I have seen plenty of countless examples of people generating AI songs, no human input whatsoever, pretty much, and just releasing them as is. I promise you, nobody is taking those songs seriously. And if they are, there's going to be mountains of backlash surrounding those songs. Here's the thing. Generate that stuff, generate those songs, and use them as reference points. If you need help coming up with composition, reference those songs. If you need help coming up with song structures, reference them. What else is a musician or producer meant to do if not for creating songs? There are plenty of ways to use AI as a tool for creating songs. And personally, I have yet to see anybody doing that. Now let's move on to another point. I pose you a question. Would you want your job to be replaced by a robot that can't do your job better than you can, but can get paid nothing? I don't know about you guys, I would say no. What I'm coining as the artist ecosystem is currently being heavily affected by all of this AI content right now. I'm not sure if you know this, but artists, and especially the good ones, get paid for the art that they make. Be it flyer art, be it merch designs, be it album artwork or what have you, you know, people get paid to do those things and they build careers off of it, right? And it's not just limited to artists per se, you know, mixing engineers, session players, producers, mastering engineers, the whole 9 yards of musician-based art careers are getting paid for the art that they create. And it's a passion that we've all shared at one point as artists, to make money off of the art that we create so we can continue to create more things. Good artists and musicians can continue to make the art that they do because we financially support them. We compensate their work, their time, their effort, their creativity, their blood, sweat, and tears with the money that we give them. By using AI to skip those steps, you are hurting their careers and you are robbing the market of opportunities. Essentially, instead of paying your local artist like $50 to $100 for creating album designs or artwork, or, you know, improving yourself as an artist and just doing it on your own, you cut them out of the picture altogether. How are they supposed to build a career or support themselves off of their art if everybody is just generating stuff at the click of a button that looks arguably worse, but is so cheap and okay enough that they're just gonna pass it off as done? Spoilers, they can't. How can a producer get their start if every time somebody wants to make a song, they instead go on a website or an application and click a few buttons, write a prompt, and get a mediocre song that's just barely passable enough to where it's like, yeah, it was free, why not? Let's do it. He can't. He can't get his start. You couldn't if you wanted to do that, and that was happening, and we all can't. Because of that, you are creating a wider gap between those who have already made it at the top and those who are just starting out. Hear me when I say this. You are essentially pulling the ladder up for those already at the top. Pushing the ladder up from the bottom, if you will. Let me explain what I mean. Let's take, for example, Adam Get Good Nolly, right? Phenomenal producer, phenomenal mixing engineer, phenomenal mastering engineer, great artist all around. Unless or until AI can successfully recreate what he is doing to a T, literally everything for everything, no difference, he will always have a job. There will always be some kind of demand for his work because of his skill set and because of his experience. People will pretty much always be willing to pay for what he does because of his expertise, right up until AI can successfully recreate it all. And I mean, shoot, if I had the money, I would love to send him all of my tracks and have him do all of my mixing and mastering. You and I, on the lower rungs of the music ladder, working our way up, building our careers, are going to have fewer and fewer opportunities to progress if all of those opportunities are being taken off the market by people deciding to just generate AI content. Now, yes, I hear you in the comments, I hear you saying to your screen, I hear you thinking in your head at home, Eli, I am broke as an artist. I don't have money to pay for mixing, I don't have money to pay for mastering, I don't have money to pay for an album artwork. It's just too expensive for where I'm at right now. I hear you, you are heard. However, I raise you the fact that you have so many other options other than AI to get what you need for free while helping to maintain our artist ecosystem. There's a few options that I'll give you. The first one is doing what I mentioned earlier and picking yourself up by the bootstraps and, you know, figuring it out yourself, which I think makes you better off as an artist if you do that. That is one free option. You could alternatively, you know, save up some money over time and really invest in your project, which I think outside of just doing it yourself and learning is one of the best ways to make sure your product is successful in the end. But even if those things aren't feasible or you don't have time or what have you, there are plenty of local musicians out there who would be willing to do that work for free. I will almost guarantee you there will be some form of small-time, extremely small-time artist or person who will be willing to work with you just to get the experience of doing it. Now, you may have to direct them more than you would like because they are doing it for free. For instance, like they may have a different vision for what they want to make versus what you need. So you may have to direct them, or you may have to like adjust your own expectations or what you're envisioning. But I can almost guarantee that the option is there. And if for some reason you're in a place where you're like the only artist out there in your area, and you don't have anybody near you who could do that, you could go online and join the thousands of like Facebook groups dedicated to finding artists, or like groups for artists looking for work or what have you. There are, I kid you not, thousands of them out there. Some of them are area specific, some of them are not, but I guarantee you, your options are not as limited as you think they are. By finding those people who are, just starting out, who are willing to do it for free, or even for people who just really like your project and want to be a part of it, you are helping them build their careers. You are helping them start out their business, right? And in doing so, you're also helping get your project done too, right? In a much more human and beneficial way to our ecosystem than using AI content. It's a win-win, right? It's mutually beneficial here. I will say it again. Resorting to AI content is a cheap and harmful cop-out for supporting our artist ecosystem. You are actively removing opportunities for people to grow and to build their careers by doing so. Now, for the final point of today's video. I'm sure you've probably heard about all the studies done on AI and its effects on our power system and what that entails for the environment and whatnot. But in case you haven't, I will find some studies, I will link them below for you to peruse and to look at. But TLDR, for those who haven't read it, it's really not good for our environment right now. While I do care about the environment deeply because, we kind of have to live in it, it is a little out of the scope of this video. So instead, I want to focus on some other things that are going to affect our futures as artists. Namely being the mass slop machine that we are feeding into and how that plays into the inherent greed of record labels and industry executives. AI, as of right now, is extremely unregulated. There is not enough legislation across the world to handle what AI can and ultimately will become. Right now, on the music side of things / art, it is extremely scary. Your work and my work, which hopefully we've both poured blood, sweat, and tears into, we've put a lot of effort into it, is currently, almost without your consent, is being fed into mass algorithmic models, which the sole purpose of is to take that, replicate it, and just kind of vomit it back out. I think personally, you and I should have the ability to consent to that, to be able to say, yes, go ahead and use my art as training data, or to be able to say, no, I don't want my art to be used as training data because it's my art. I get to decide what I want to do with it. But alas, there is not a good, proper way to go about that as of right now. By using AI and subsequently supporting their business practices, you are feeding into what I like to call the unregulated mass slop machine. You are encouraging the continued practice of what they are doing. It's the same as not supporting a business by not buying their products. If you do not like a way a store is conducting business, do not consume anything that they offer. Because if you do, and you still don't support them, right, you are essentially giving them the monetary equivalent of a great job, guys. Keep up the good work. I'm not sure about you guys, but the last thing that I want them to do is to continue doing what they're doing right now. If you are an artist and you have any concern whatsoever about the way all of this AI stuff is going to affect your art, stop using it. Stop using it until A, they get better business practices and start doing things that you can endorse. B, stop using it until there is proper regulation in place that makes it safer for your art and my art. As an extension to that point, executives and record labels are more than likely using that unregulation, the very same one that we just talked about, to turn a profit. They are more than likely acting as sharks in the water, and brother, you and I just had our legs amputated while swimming. If you do not think that record labels or executives would hire an artist who isn't real, who they don't have to pay because they're not real, who is still going to bring them all the revenue they could ever ask for, you are about as blind as they come. Why would record labels, who more than likely hold most of the money in the music industry, pay their artists the amount that they do when instead of doing so, they can get a robot to do it for free and do it just good enough to where they don't have to get a real human to do it? I hate to say it, but if you can get it to where people don't really see that it is AI art to begin with, basic business dictates that I'm gonna go with the freer option just because it saves me money. If we get to a point where AI technology can realistically generate what humans can do and rival that same level of artistry, I could almost guarantee you, can't use definitives here, but I could almost guarantee you that more than likely they're going to start axing artists like crazy. Now for the caveat, that is purely speculation. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it will be true, and I cannot say for certain. I don't know. It is purely speculation. But am I using the God-given pattern recognition that came free with my brain? Yeah, I am. And at the very least, if you don't believe that to be true, or if it's not true, I would at least like you, as an artist, to consider the consequences in regards to what that would mean for the business aspect of art. Please just think about it. To wrap up what is a very long video for my own standards, I am begging you all out there, artists, musicians, the like, please stop using AI content as the main form of content for your art. You are robbing yourself of your own success. You are robbing others of the opportunity to be successful. And you are feeding into what could possibly be the mass extinction of real artists. At the end of the day, you do what you want to do. I want you to use your free will as you see fit as an artist. That's what makes things so great. I implore you, though, to at least think about and consider the consequences that AI generation will have on our industry moving forward. After all, the goal is not to remove AI altogether, but to have it in a place where it will not cause the extinction of real artists and instead benefit us in the way that I think it was meant to benefit us. I would appreciate it if you left a like, a comment, or even subscribed and hit the noti bell. You can even leave a dislike if you want. I totally encourage that. I am beyond excited to get a discussion going on what we can do as artists to get AI to a point where it is more helpful than it is harmful. And I'm excited to see your guys' opinions on the matter. It'll signal to me too that you guys like this content and that you want to see more of it moving forward. After all, this type of discussion piece, essay style video is out of the ordinary for me, but it was important enough in my heart to at least sit down and give my opinions on the matter. So thank you all so much for watching. Good luck out there. Make sure to follow my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook, what have you. I'm on most, if not all, social platforms except for Twitter. And I think Blue Sky is still a thing. It might be dead in the water now, I don't know. I'm not on them, it's a cesspool. I don't touch it. So make sure to go follow me on there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.